Ravi sat alone inside the small control room of Space Post 7. The stars outside the big glass window looked calm and quiet. Nothing had happened here in many months. He was the only human on the post now. Others had gone back to Earth after the main work was done. Ravi stayed behind to watch the machines and keep the place running. He liked the silence. There were no loud voices, no busy streets, no fast work. Just him, the stars, and the soft sounds of machines. But on this day, something changed. A red light started flashing on the screen. A signal came from the outer side of the post. Ravi stood up and checked the scanner. Something small was falling from the sky. Fast, too fast. He pressed the control panel and saw a shape spinning through space. It was a ship, not a human one. It was an alien ship, and it was in trouble. Ravi ran to the landing bay and opened the outside doors. He watched as the small alien ship came close, fire around its sides. It hit the metal floor hard and made a loud noise. Steam rose from its broken parts. He waited. For 1 minute, nothing moved. Then the door of the alien ship opened with a soft click. A figure stepped out slowly. She was tall and thin, her skin light blue with soft lines that looked like stars. Her eyes were large and bright purple. Her clothes were made of silver cloth, shining like water. She looked young, maybe not more than his own age. Ravi took 1 step forward. The alien girl looked at him, her face full of worry. She began to speak, but not in any human language. Her voice was soft and quick, full of strange sounds. She moved her hands, pointing at her ship, then at the stars, then at the side of her head. Ravi said nothing. He just looked at her and listened. The girl thought he didn't understand. She spoke again, louder, using more signs with her hands. She pointed at the stars again, drew a circle in the air, then made her fingers look like falling things. Her face looked sad and afraid. Still, Ravi said nothing. He reached into his side bag and took out a water bottle. He walked over slowly and held it out to her. The girl looked at the bottle, then back at him. She blinked, took the bottle, and drank. Ravi nodded. Then he pointed at her ship and made a slow circle with his hand, showing that he would help fix it. The girl tilted her head and gave a small smile. Then she started talking again in her own language, more gently this time. She pointed at herself and said, "Yena." Ravi pointed at himself and said, "Ravi?" Yena nodded. She seemed to feel a little better now. She looked around the landing bay, then at her ship. She spoke again, her voice fast and low, as if she was telling a long story. She used many signs with her hands. Some looked like fire, others like broken pieces, and one looked like something chasing her. Ravi only nodded. Again. She thought he still didn't understand. Later, Ravi helped her to the living area. He gave her food, a warm seat, and let her rest. She sat at the table, opened a small notebook from her belt, and started to draw pictures. Her hand moved fast. She drew her ship, the stars, and dark shapes that looked like machines. Her eyes grew dark as she drew. She showed the page to Ravi. He looked at it, then looked at her. He said nothing. Yena sighed. She touched her chest and made a slow, sad sound. Then she turned the page and started drawing again. That night, Ravi walked through the station, checking systems. The lights were dim, and only the hum of machines filled the halls. He passed by the room where Yena slept. He stopped and looked through the window. She was writing in her notebook, her back to the door. Ravi walked on. Inside the room, Yena stopped writing and looked out the small window at the stars. She held her notebook close and whispered to herself in her own language. She wrote something in her notebook before sleeping. "The human is kind, but he does not understand me. Still, he gave me water and food. He watched me speak and said nothing. He is quiet. Maybe that is how humans are. Ravi in another room, sat near the control desk. He opened a small device that was hidden inside the table. On the screen was a set of alien symbols. He tapped the screen. The words began to translate. He had been listening. He understood more than she knew, but he said nothing. Not yet. The next morning, Yana woke up to a soft sound outside her room. She opened the door and found Ravi sitting on the floor near her ship. He was working on the broken parts. His hands moved slowly, carefully, as he checked the wires and fixed the small panels. A toolbox lay open beside him. Yana stepped closer. "It is very damaged," she said in her language, pointing at the broken side of her ship. Ravi looked up and nodded. Then he handed her a small tool without speaking. Yana took the tool and bent down to join him. For a while, they worked in silence. She kept talking, thinking out loud in her own language. She spoke of the power core, the cooling system, and the memory logs. Ravi didn't reply, but he passed the right tools every time. He moved like someone who understood what he was doing. Yana thought it was luck. Later that day, Yana tried again to explain why she had come. She picked up a clean metal board and began to draw with a small piece of burnt wire. First, she drew her home planet. Then she drew her people, the Nomi. She showed them living in peace under soft skies and large trees. Then her hand moved faster. She drew dark machines falling from the sky. Long arms, sharp bodies, no eyes. She drew flames around them. Then she drew the same machines chasing a small ship, her ship. She looked at Ravi and pointed at herself. "I ran," she said softly in her own tongue. "But they are coming." Ravi stared at the board. He did not say a word. Yana sighed and turned to her ship. She opened a small panel and tried to fix the memory logs, but the screen stayed dark. She clicked a few buttons, then gave up. She looked over at Ravi. "Memory broken," she said, making a cross sign with her hands. "Lost." Ravi tilted his head. He stood up, walked over, and looked inside the panel. Then he took out a small round tool from his belt. He plugged it into the side port. The lights on the screen blinked once. Yana blinked too. The screen showed the first sign of life since the crash. She leaned closer and touched the buttons. The log opened. Some of the data was still damaged, but parts of her journey were now clear again. Her face lit up. She looked at Ravi, confused. "How did you know that would work?" she asked in her language. Ravi only smiled and handed her a small power cell. Yana thought again, maybe humans guess well. That night, Yana sat in the corner of the lounge area, drawing once more. She had a new idea. If she couldn't speak with Ravi, maybe she could teach him. She drew a round fruit on the page. She held up a real fruit in her hand and said the Nomi word for it, Sula. Then she pointed at Ravi. He looked at the fruit. "Sula?" he asked, soft and slow. Yana's face lit up. She clapped once, nodded and smiled. She drew a star next and said, "Meha." "Meha," Ravi said. She laughed softly. Then she pointed at herself and said, "Yana." Ravi smiled. "Yana," he said. She pointed at him and raised her eyebrows. "Ravi," he replied. Yana clapped again. She looked proud. In her notebook later that night, she wrote, "The human learns slowly, but he listens. Maybe I can teach him more. He is still quiet, but kind." She didn't know that Ravi already understood her words. He had been using a small translation device in secret, but he liked hearing her speak. He liked the way she talked with her hands. He liked her voice, even if she thought he didn't understand it. Ravi spent part of the night checking the scanner. The stars outside were calm, but a strange signal had come in earlier. He had not told Yana yet. He needed more time. The signal was weak, but it was from the same direction she had drawn on the metal board, the same place where the machines had come from. Ravi saved the signal and turned off the screen. The next morning, Yena came to him with a drawing of a tool she needed for the ship. Ravi opened a box and pulled out the exact tool. Yena blinked. "How?" she asked in her own language, confused. Ravi shrugged and smiled. She laughed. "You guess well." That day, they fixed the small engine parts together. Yena spoke the whole time. She told stories about her planet. She talked about flying above green forests, about rain that glowed in the dark, and music that floated in the air. She didn't think Ravi understood, but she liked talking to someone. Ravi said nothing. He just listened and worked beside her. That night, Yena sat by the glass window and looked at the stars. She whispered, "I hope my people are safe." She opened her notebook and wrote, "The human cannot speak my words, but I feel safe with him. Maybe that is enough. Still, I wish he could understand. I have so much more to say." Ravi stood quietly outside her room again. He looked down at the small translator in his hand. It showed her words. He read them all. He placed the translator back into his pocket and walked away. He still said nothing, but he remembered every word. Yena woke up early. Her mind was full of dreams about her home. She missed the soft sky, the sound of the glowing trees, and the songs of her people. But now, far away from her world, she had only this silent space post and one human who never spoke much. She walked down the long hallway and found Ravi sitting near her ship again. He was looking at the small screen from her memory logs. She had thought they were broken. The night before, they had only shown part of her travel. Yena walked over and stood beside him. Ravi moved the screen toward her. Strange symbols from her. Language floated across the display. Yena gasped. More data had been recovered. Old logs, flight paths, and even sound clips of her ship were now working again. She looked at him with wide eyes. "You fixed this?" she asked in her own language. Ravi nodded. Then he pointed at the screen and tapped the button for replay. One of Yena's old voice recordings played. It was her voice, speaking calmly before the attack. She had been sending a warning message to other Nomi ships. Ravi pressed pause and looked at her. Yena's eyes filled with wonder. She had never shown him how the system worked. She had never explained the file names or the symbols. She had just called them broken, and yet he had found them. She touched the edge of the screen gently. Then she looked at him and said, "You are clever for someone who cannot understand me." Ravi only gave a small smile. Later that day, Yena brought out her notebook again. She wanted to test Ravi's learning. She drew a shape of a plant from her home and said, "Dara." Ravi looked at it and said, "Dara." Yena smiled. She drew a star map and said, "Mehura." Ravi repeated, "Mehura." Then she pointed at the memory screen and said, "Shaluken," which meant data lock. Ravi looked at the word, then moved to the screen and unlocked a section with that same label. Yena froze. She stared at him for a long time. She said slowly, "You understood that?" Ravi acted like he didn't notice. He pointed at another button and handed her the control. Yena sat back, confused. She said to herself, "No, it was just chance. He copied what I said." But deep in her mind, a small doubt began to grow. That evening, Ravi worked alone inside the main control room. The stars outside were still quiet, but something new appeared on the scanner. A weak signal blinked in the corner of the screen. It was not from the space post. It came from deep space. Ravi opened the message. It was full of broken code. But inside the code, there was a pattern. It was a repeat of something he had seen in Yena's logs, symbols from her planet. The Sith were near. He saved the signal and closed the screen. He needed to be sure before he told her. Back in the repair bay, Yena worked on her ship. She looked over at Ravi now and then. He was cleaning tools quietly. She took a deep breath and tried something new. She walked over to him, held up her notebook, and showed a question in her language. It said, "Do you know what this means?" Ravi looked at the words. Then he tilted his head and said nothing. Yena smiled and shook her head. "Of course not," she whispered to herself. But when she turned away, Ravi looked at the notebook one more time. His eyes moved across the words. He sighed, then walked back to his seat. That night, Yena made a plan. She would test him again. She opened her small bag and took out a metal cube. It was a simple learning tool used on her home planet. She placed different images on the side, each with a word. She walked to Ravi and sat down in front of him. "This is for children," she said in her language. "But maybe you will learn faster this way." She showed the side with a bird. "Fenu." "Ravi," said the Fenu. She turned to the side with light. "Raza." "Raza," Ravi said. She turned to the side with danger. "Selek." Ravi paused. Then he said, "Selek." Yena narrowed her eyes. Then she turned to the final side. A word only used in deep science. "Nalteven," which meant particle shield. Ravi looked at it for a moment. Then he stood up, walked over to the ship, and pointed at the broken shield panel. "Nalteven?" he asked. Yena stood frozen. She dropped the cube. She whispered, "You understand?" Ravi looked at her. His face showed no surprise, only calm. He said softly, "Yes." Yena took a step back. Her voice shook. "Since when?" Ravi took out a small device from his pocket. It glowed with her planet's symbols. "A translator." "I started learning when I heard your first words," he said. "You understood everything?" she asked. He nodded. "Not at first, but I listened. I studied. I waited." Yena sat down, shocked. She looked at all her drawings, all her words, all the times she spoke freely. She thought he didn't know any of it. "You let me think you didn't understand," she said. Ravi looked at her. "You spoke better when you thought no one listened." She smiled slowly, then looked at him again. "I said many things." "I know," he said. Yena sat on the floor of the ship bay. Her notebook lay open beside her, but she was not writing. Her eyes were fixed on Ravi. She was still thinking about what he had said the day before. He had understood her. From the beginning. Every word, every drawing, every message. She thought she had been talking to herself, but he had been listening the whole time. Ravi stood a few steps away, working with the station's control board. He connected a long cable from Yena's ship to the wall panel. Sparks flew, but the connection held. Yena slowly stood up and walked over. "You should have told me," she said softly. Ravi turned. "You needed space to speak," he said. "I wanted to understand the truth before I said anything." Yena looked at him for a moment, then gave a small nod. She understood now. He had not stayed silent because he was weak. He stayed silent because he cared. She no longer felt alone, but the peace did not last long. Suddenly, a sharp alarm rang through the station. Red lights flashed above them. Ravi rushed to the control room. Yena followed close behind. On the main screen, a signal blinked in the corner. It was the same signal Ravi had seen earlier, only now it was stronger. A ship was coming, not a normal one. Its shape was sharp and dark. No windows, no sound. Yena looked at the signal and her face turned pale. "Sith," she whispered. Ravi tapped a few buttons. A map of the space area showed the ship moving fast toward them. "They followed me," Yena said. "They tracked the last pulse from my ship. I didn't know they could come this far." Ravi looked at the controls. "How dangerous are they?" Yena pointed at the red dot on the screen. "They destroy They do not speak. They collect power from others. Once they see a ship or station, they attack. Ravi nodded. We need to be ready. Yena stared at him. You want to fight them? Yes, he said. We can't let them get close. Yena looked unsure. But you are only one person. Ravi opened a drawer and took out a set of old metal cards. This station has more inside it than it shows. Earth sent machines here long ago. Not weapons, but shields, traps, and old systems. I studied them. Yena followed him as he walked toward the storage room. Inside, the walls were lined with dusty boxes and old control panels. Ravi opened one box and pulled out a small round orb. He pressed it, and it lit up. A soft blue screen floated in the air. It showed the design of the whole station. There are 6 entry points, Ravi said. I can block 4. That leaves 2. We can guide them through 1 and trap them. Yena watched as he moved small parts on the screen. You already had this plan. I was waiting to use it, Ravi said. Now it's time. They spent the next 2 hours working. Yena helped lay energy traps in the long halls. Ravi programmed old drones to act as guards. He used Yena's ship power to boost the station's shield. Yena used her own tech to scan the enemy ship again. It will reach us in 20 minutes, she said. Ravi nodded. We're ready. Yena looked at him. You are not like other humans I heard about. You don't talk too much. You don't show fear. Ravi smiled. I believe in quiet work. The lights flickered. The Sith ship was near. Ravi ran to the control room and activated the outer sensors. He watched the dark shape move closer on the screen. It stopped just outside the station. Then, like a shadow, it broke into smaller pieces. Machines floated out of it, long arms stretched wide, heads spinning slowly. They're looking for weak points, Yena said. Ravi pressed the lock button. All station doors closed tight. One of the Sith drones touched the door. A spark flew. The trap worked. The machine pulled back. But then more machines came forward. One by one, they started pressing on the outer doors. Their arms turned red. They were cutting through. We have only minutes, Yena said. Ravi pointed to the hallway. Go to your ship. If they break through, you must fly. I won't. Leave you, she said. I'll hold them here. You can escape. Yena looked at him. No. We fight together. Ravi gave her a sharp look. Then he nodded. Then stay close. The station lights turned red again. The first door broke. 1. Machine entered the hallway. Ravi pressed a button. A wall trap fired. The machine flew backward into the wall. 2 more came. Yena ran to the second panel and pressed her shield control. A blue wall appeared, stopping the machines. They are testing us, she said. They are smart. Then, we must be smarter, Ravi said. He opened the last trap, the one he had saved. It was hidden under the floor. As 3 machines passed over, the floor opened. All 3 dropped into a deep hole and were trapped inside a locked chamber. The station shook. The main scythe ship fired a slow beam toward the wall. They are trying to melt the shield, Yena said. Ravi looked at the power level. We can hold for 5 minutes, he pointed to her ship. Can your ship send a fake signal? Yes, Yena said. It can show we escaped. Good, Ravi said. Do it. Make them chase nothing. Yena ran to her ship and pressed the signal button. A fake ship image flew across the star map. The Sith ship paused. It turned slowly and followed the signal. They believed it, Yena said. Ravi dropped into his seat. We bought time, he said. The station was safe. For now. The air inside the station was quiet again. The red lights had turned off. The machines were gone. The Sith ship had followed the fake signal far into space, but Ravi and Yena knew this peace would not last long. Ravi sat near the control panel. His shirt was torn, and there was a small cut on his arm. He wrapped it with a cloth and looked at the screen. The shield was still holding. The power level was low, but the traps were still working. Yena walked in and sat beside him. Her eyes were tired. She had not slept. She looked at the wound on his arm and pointed. "You should rest," she said. Ravi shook his head. "We cannot stop now." She nodded. "You were very brave. I did not think a human could do so much." Ravi smiled. "You said that before." Yena looked away. She remembered the first days when she thought he was slow, quiet, and simple. She had spoken freely in front of him. She had believed he didn't know her words. But now, everything had changed. She stood up and said, "I want to show you something." She walked to her ship and opened a small case under the seat. Inside was a small white crystal glowing softly. She held it out to Ravi. "This is a memory stone," she said. "It holds thoughts and pictures from my planet. Only my people can use it." Ravi looked at the stone. "Why show me?" "Because you are not just a helper," she said. "You are something more." She placed the crystal in his hand. It lit up. The glow spread around his fingers. Yena gasped. "No one from outside should be able to touch it," she whispered. Ravi looked at the crystal. "Maybe your world is not so different from mine," she smiled. "Or maybe you are not just from your world." He gave the crystal back. "You should keep this safe." Yena placed it back in the case. Later, they sat by the window and ate together. The stars outside were still shining. The broken Sith drones lay trapped in the lower level. Ravi had locked them with heavy metal doors. They were not moving, but they were not fully dead either. Yena looked at the sky and asked, "What will you do if they return?" Ravi replied, "We stop them, together." She looked at him. "Do all humans think like you?" Ravi thought for a moment. "No. Some run, some fight. Some stay silent and listen." "You listened," she said. "And because of that, you saved me." Ravi looked down. "I did not save you. You saved yourself. I only gave you time." Yena stood up and walked to the map on the wall. She pressed a button, and a new star map appeared. "My people are here," she said, pointing to a green planet. "Far from this place. I was trying to send them a message when I crashed." Ravi walked over. "Can we try again?" She nodded. "We must." Together they worked on the long-range transmitter. Wires were old and parts were missing, but with pieces from Ravi's storage and Yena's ship, they rebuilt it. It took hours. When it was ready, Yena placed the memory crystal inside the signal box. She closed her eyes and spoke a soft message in her language. Then she looked at Ravi. "Can you boost the power?" Ravi adjusted the controls and pressed the button. A beam of soft blue light shot into space. "It's sent," he said. Yena smiled. "I hope they hear me." As they returned to the living area, something strange happened. The station lights blinked. Once. Then again, Ravi ran to the control panel. "It's a reply," he said. "Someone answered your message." Yena stepped close. "Is it my people?" "No," Ravi said. "It's not from your planet." She stared at the screen. Another ship was coming, but it was not Scythe. It was a human ship. Yena's eyes widened. "You sent a message too?" Ravi nodded. "After I saw the first Sith signal, I warned Earth. I didn't know if they would come. The human ship sent a code. We are close. Help is near." Yena looked at Ravi. "You planned everything." He nodded. "I had to be ready for you, for them, for all of us." She sat down and smiled. "You stayed quiet. You watched. And in the end, you surprised me more than anyone." Ravi said, "You thought I didn't understand." Yena laughed. "I did. I truly did." Ravi stood and looked at her. "Do you still believe that?" She shook her head. "No, I believe you understand more than most." Outside, the stars kept shining. Inside, the two of them sat together. No longer strangers. They were partners now, and the real journey had just begun. The next day, the space station was calm again. No red lights, no alarms, only soft humming from the machines and a peaceful silence that filled the wide halls. Ravi stood at the large window, watching the stars. Yenna joined him, holding 2 metal cups. She handed one to him. "It's warm plant juice," she said. "It helps you stay calm." Ravi took the cup and nodded. "Thank you." They stood together, looking out at the stars. The human ship was still on the way. It would arrive in 2 days. Yena's message had gone out. Her people had received it too. Help was coming from both sides, but Ravi and Yena knew the Sith were not finished. The enemy had not attacked with full force yet. This was only the beginning. "We need to do more," Ravi said. Yena turned. "What do you mean?" Ravi walked to the main control table. He touched the screen and opened a large star map. Lines stretched across space. He pointed to a red area. "This is where the Sith move. It keeps growing." Yena nodded. "I have seen the same on our maps." "They are spreading," Ravi said. "Not fast, but they do not stop." "They take what they want," Yena said. "They have no feeling, no voice. They collect power from planets and ships. They do not care who lives there." Ravi looked at the map again. "If we do nothing, they will reach your world. They will reach Earth, too." Yena looked at him carefully. "So you want to stop them?" "Yes," Ravi said. "But not with fear. Not with large weapons. We need a smart plan." Yena sat down and placed her notebook on the table. "What kind of plan?" "We know their pattern now," Ravi said. "They follow energy signals. They scan light waves. They cannot change direction fast. We can use all this," Yena wrote quickly. "We send false signals. We guide them to empty space. We make traps." "Yes," Ravi said. "We protect new stations and peaceful places. We move them away before the Scythe come." She looked up. "You really thought about all this?" "I've been watching them since I got the first signal," Ravi said. "I studied the way they move. I never told anyone because I wasn't sure." Yena nodded. "But now you are." "I've seen enough," Ravi said. "And I've met someone who helped me understand more." Yena smiled softly. "You mean me?" "Yes," Ravi said. "You showed me how much we can do together." Yena stood and walked toward her ship. "Then we must prepare. We build something better." She opened a case in her ship. Inside was a round object with soft green lights. "This is a Nomi translator. Stronger than the one you used. It can connect with any mind. It helps 2 people from different worlds think together." Ravi took the translator in his hand. It felt warm. "We use this," Yena said, "to teach others." "Teach them what?" Ravi asked. She smiled. "That trust is stronger than fear." Ravi nodded. "And truth is stronger than silence." Together they began their work. Yena connected her translator to the station's main system. Ravi placed his signal logs into the database. The system began to combine human data and Nomi knowledge. They built a new guide, a mix of 2 worlds. It showed where the Sith had attacked before. It showed how they could be tricked. It used signals that would confuse them, slow them, or lead them away. They called it the Path of Light. By night, the plan was ready. Yena looked at it on the screen. "This can help many," Ravi agreed. "But we need help to send it across space." "The human ship will arrive soon," Yena said. "We give it to them. And when my people come, we give it to them too." Ravi looked at her. "Then we do more. We travel. We show others how to use it." "You want to leave this station?" she asked. "Yes," Ravi said. "The time to watch is over. Now we act." Yena looked around. She remembered the first time she saw the station. It had looked cold and empty. She had thought the human inside was quiet and slow, but now she saw it was a place of peace, of learning, and of strong hearts. She nodded. "Then I will go with you." Ravi smiled. "We'll go together." The next morning, Yena and Ravi packed the path of light into a small core. They placed it in a safe box inside Yena's ship. The ship's engine was now fully repaired. The panels shone bright. It was ready to fly. As they finished loading, the screen in the control room blinked. The human ship had arrived. It floated outside the station, quiet and large. A message appeared. "Request to dock. We bring supplies and..." "A full crew." Ravi opened the door. The human team walked in. They wore simple suits and carried tools. One of them, a short man with kind eyes, looked at Ravi. "You did all this alone?" Ravi stepped aside. "Not alone." Yena walked forward. The human officer stared for a moment. Then he smiled. "I see. You had good help." Yena smiled back. Ravi gave the core to the officer. "This holds the plan. It can help many. Please send it to Earth Command." "We will," the officer said. "And thank you." Later that night, Ravi and Yena sat in the ship again. They looked at the stars. Yena said, "You are not like the stories I heard about humans." Ravi asked, "What did those stories say?" "They said humans were loud, quick to fight, always afraid," Yena replied. Ravi looked at her. "And what do you say now?" Yena smiled. "I say one human stayed silent and listened, and that saved my life." Ravi turned to her. "And I say one alien girl showed me what true strength means." They looked at the stars again. Their ship was ready, and the future was waiting. The stars were quiet, but inside Yena's ship, there was energy. Yena and Ravi sat at the front, looking at the wide space ahead. The ship moved slowly, passing shining rocks and soft lights from distant stars. The journey had begun. Ravi checked the map again. "The first stop is a small listening post. Humans built it before the Sith came. Now it's empty." Yena nodded. "That place can help us send the path of light to more systems." They flew in silence for a while. Yena was deep in thought. Ravi noticed her quiet face and asked, "What are you thinking?" Yena turned her eyes to him. "I never thought a human would fight for peace. Not like this. You did not raise your voice. You did not carry a weapon. Still, you stood with me." Ravi smiled. "And I never thought an alien would be the one to help me understand my own people better." She raised one brow. "What do you mean?" "When I joined the station, I thought I had to be strong by staying alone. I didn't speak much because I believed silence meant control. But after meeting you, I learned that real strength comes from trust, from sharing." Yena looked down for a moment. Then she said, "I used to think humans could not understand my world, my voice, my heart. But you did." Ravi's eyes stayed on the stars. "Maybe we were both wrong before." The ship reached the listening post after a few hours. It was quiet and dark. Old solar panels floated around it like broken wings. Ravi sent a soft signal. The door opened with a slow hiss. They stepped inside. The walls were covered in dust, lights flickered. But the main screen still worked. Yena moved fast, linking the path of light to the system. "This station connects to 20 other places. We send the guide to all of them." Ravi helped her with the codes. Together, they uploaded the guide. One by one, green lights showed the signal had reached. "It's done," Ravi said. "Now many others will know," Yena added. They returned to the ship and flew again. Their next stop was a Nomi Science Center. Yena said her people would be there. It was near a bright blue planet. As they approached, they saw 3 Nomi ships. Yena sent her ID. The ships let them pass. The science center floated like a round shell above the planet. It glowed with soft lights. Inside the center, Nomi officers waited. They looked at Ravi with wide eyes. One officer asked, "You brought a human?" Yena stood beside Ravi. "Yes. He helped me build a way to stop the Sith." Another officer asked, "Why should we trust a human?" Yena raised her hand. "Because I trusted him first." The room was silent. Then Yena placed the path of light on the table. "This is what we made together," she said. "It can guide many. It uses human signals and Nomi systems. It works better than anything we have now." The Nomi officers began to study the core. They spoke in low voices. One of them looked up and said, This is powerful. It can stop many attacks." Yena nodded. "Yes, but only if we share it." Ravi stepped forward. "Not just with humans and Nomi, but with other peaceful worlds too." The officers looked at each other. Then they agreed. "We will help," one of them said. "We will carry this guide to the stars." Yena smiled. "Good. Then our work begins." For the next few days, Ravi and Yena stayed at the Science Center. They trained teams on how to use the path of light. They showed how to send false signals to confuse the Sith. They explained how early warnings could save lives. The Nomi engineers added their own ideas, too. They made small drones that could carry the signals to far places. They made soft lights that could call for help without making noise. Ravi was amazed. "You learn fast," he said. Yena replied, "So do you." On the 5th day, a new message arrived. A human ship from Earth Command had used the path of light to stop a Sith attack near a moon station. No one was hurt. The message ended with 2 words. It worked. Ravi read the message again and again. His eyes became wet. Yena saw this and placed her hand on his shoulder. "This is only the beginning." "Yes," Ravi said. "Now I know." Later, Yena stood on a high platform looking at the stars. Ravi joined her. "I remember the first time I saw you," she said. "I thought you were silent and cold. I thought you didn't care. And I thought you didn't trust me," Ravi replied. She looked at him. "But we both were wrong." Ravi nodded. "And now we're stronger." She held out a small crystal. "This is from my world. It means peace." Ravi took it. "Thank you. This is from Earth." He gave her a simple metal coin with a star on it. "It means hope." They stood together side by side. The stars above them shone brighter now. Not because the sky had changed, but because they had. A girl from another world. A boy from Earth. Together, they built something new. Something better. And far away, across the stars, others were already using what they made. They were saving lives, protecting peace, and telling stories. Stories about the quiet human and the brave alien girl, and the day they learned to understand each other.